The following video was recorded at around 11 p.m. when a young man is alone inside a building and begins hearing something he can't explain. Loud, violent banging echoing from somewhere in the basement below him. According to him, this isn't the first time. It's already happened 3 times that night, and by now, whatever is making the noise has clearly gotten under his skin. Watch.
Bueno, ya son como las 11 de la noche y la tercera vez que estoy escuchando este ruido de mierda. No sé qué está pasando, pero lo quiero grabar ahora para que después me crea la gente, porque esto nunca me pasó y nada, lo quería grabar, qué sé yo, estoy podrido, la concha de la lora. Tengo mi linterna, no sé para qué mierda la traje. Dios, puta que te parió, la puta que te parió. Concha de la lora, la concha de la lora. Pero ¿cómo mierda puede ser que no haya nada hoy? Ya es la tercera vez que entro y no hay nada. Dios, me quiero ir. Quiero ir.
What you're hearing isn't subtle. Those are powerful metallic slams reverberating through a large, empty concrete space. The kind of sound that doesn't come from a building settling or pipes expanding. He moves through the basement with support pillars and wooden furniture, pushes into a narrow locker room area with benches and jackets on hooks, and finds absolutely nothing. No one, no movement. The banging had been relentless on his way down, growing louder and more rhythmic the closer he got. And then, the moment he's inside the room where it seemed to be coming from, it stops. He checks under the benches, pans the camera across every corner, and keeps repeating the same thing. This is the 3rd time he's come down here and found nothing. He says he wants to leave. Some viewers think the sounds point towards something intelligent, something reacting to his presence. The way the banging intensifies as he descends and cuts out the second he arrives suggests awareness, not random noise. Skeptics argue an accomplice somewhere in the building could account for it, though no one else is ever seen or heard. But if you listen to how that sound carries through the space, it's hard to picture where exactly someone would be hiding. So where did it come from? In this next clip, Nicole is a teenage vlogger who's been documenting something she once thought was a gift, her ability to communicate with spirits, until that ability put her directly in the path of something far more dangerous. She'd been uploading footage of her paranormal experiences under the online alias Banshee 0094, barely anyone in her town even knowing she was still alive, when a cult found her through those videos, took her, and left her on the side of the road to die. Now she's back, trying to move on, when the activity starts again, this time inside her own bedroom. Watch.
You guys hear that? Sige, andning. Shit. Right. No. I'm not doing this shit. Go back to bed. Go back to bed. Back to bed. Back to bed. Back to bed. You hear me? I'm not going outside. I am not going outside. I do not need this shit. Okay. I know. I'm outside. I'm trying to be extra quiet. He's all shh. Okay. Shh. Just I'll be quiet because I know I shouldn't come inside. I said I was going outside, but I have to go inside because what the fuck was I saying?
If you look closely, something appears to pass directly across the window outside her room. At first, it could easily be mistaken for a person walking past the house, a shadow, or even something created by the movement of the camera and the darkness outside. Then comes the scream. It's high-pitched, prolonged, and disturbingly human-sounding, which is exactly why viewers immediately began comparing it to a banshee. In Irish and Scottish folklore, a banshee is traditionally described as a supernatural female spirit whose terrifying cry is believed to warn that someone is about to die. The frightening part of the legend isn't necessarily that the banshee attacks anyone. It's the idea that hearing it scream is itself a warning, a sound that supposedly arrives before tragedy. And that's what makes this clip particularly unsettling. But the footage becomes even more disturbing. Watch.
What is that? What is that? Okay, run.
If it really is the same person or figure, there's an obvious explanation. Someone could simply have been outside the house. But if Nicole's account is accurate, and she genuinely believed she was alone, the sequence becomes much harder to shake. So the most frightening question isn't what was that scream. It's who or what was waiting outside her window. Now in this next clip, a man is sitting in front of his computer late at night, replaying security footage from his own driveway. And what he's trying to wrap his head around isn't a shadow or a figure in the dark, but something arguably stranger. The timestamp on the footage reads 10:09 p.m. on the 28th of April of 2024, and it shows an ordinary-looking man in a dark jacket walking down the driveway near a vintage black Volkswagen Beetle, stopping, gesturing, and appearing to give directions to someone just off camera, completely unremarkable on its own. Watch.
Güey, te juro por Dios, güey. Te lo juro por Dios que un señor me preguntó que dónde era la pinera.
No digas mamadas.
Te lo juro por Dios, güey. Un señor se me acercó y me preguntó, oiga, disculpe, ¿dónde es la pinera? Y por eso le explico, le digo que tenía que cruzar y darle más para abajo, güey, te lo juro. Te lo juro, güey, no mames.
Here's where it gets hard to explain. The man reviewing this footage insists, swearing on it repeatedly, visibly shaken, that man had approached him and asked him for directions to La Pinera. He gave him directions, that's it. Except the encounter was already on his security camera, and we can't see him talking to anyone. Some viewers immediately called it a glitch in the Matrix, that unsettling feeling that reality briefly repeated itself or crossed its own timeline. What do you think? Now in this next clip, someone is alone at night, filming inside what looks like an old cabin or shed, the kind of place that already feels wrong before the camera even settles on anything. The walls are dark, weathered logs, The paint on the door is peeling and stained, and the only light comes from the phone in their hand. The room is completely still, with nothing but darkness beyond the narrow beam of light. And then the camera catches something above the doorframe. Watch.
Bro, I just missed it moving again, bro. Literally. I'm not stopping recording until I get it moving on camera, bro. Look at that, bro. You see it? You see it? That bitch is moving, gang, by itself. I'm gonna try and get it one more time, yo. Bro, look at that shit, gang. Yeah, I probably gotta get rid of this little nigga for real. I got that shit on camera though, gang. I'm not tripping.
For nearly 3 minutes, the strange creature keeps hitting the door. Paranormal viewers would likely interpret the scene very differently, especially because the activity appears to be concentrated around a doorway. In paranormal folklore, doorways are often treated as symbolic thresholds between spaces, and unexplained activity around them is sometimes interpreted as something attempting to enter or make its presence known. Whether that's what is happening here is impossible to establish from the footage alone. But watching that door repeatedly take hits while the person filming stands there, unable to see what's on the other side, creates one terrifying thought. This next clip was recorded inside a man's living room in the middle of the day. Natural light coming through the window, blue sofa in the background, everything ordinary about the setting, except for one small black object sitting on the wood floor near his coffee table. He'd apparently missed it moving before the recording started, and he was determined not to miss it again. So he held the shot. Watch.
The fuck? Dude, just heard a huge fucking crash. Is anyone down there? Hello? Hey, who's fucking down there? Seriously, if you throw anything at me this time, I'm gonna f you up. Man? You're a fucking coward! What do you fucking want? Just fuck! Shit! Fuck! Hey, let me out! Let me out! Fuck! Let me out of here!
No foot, no string, no air vent, blowing directly underneath it. Skeptics think that's the most obvious explanation. Either the device's battery is still partially charged and activating on a timer, or someone off camera has a remote. but he insists there's no pet, no remote, nothing driving it. So what do you think it is? This next clip was recorded by a man investigating strange sounds inside what appears to be a multi-level home, alone, at night, with nothing but his phone's camera light cutting through the dark. Something had already spooked him badly enough that he was out of breath before he even opened the first door. He makes his way down a carpeted staircase, calls out into the basement below, gets no answer, and pushes deeper into the space anyway, into a furnished lower level, bare white walls, couch, armchair, the kind of quiet that makes every small sound feel wrong. And then something happens that stops him cold. Watch. The creaking of the old wooden steps, his labored breathing, the rough stone walls closing in around him, and then, at the worst possible moment, the trapdoor above him slams shut, hard. He panics immediately, yelling and hammering on the underside of the door, the camera lurching wildly in the dark. If you listen to the slam itself, there's no creak, no slow movement. It falls in one sudden, definitive thud, the way a door moves when something forces it rather than lets it drift. Some viewers believe this was never about a haunting at all, but a physical intruder using the space, which, honestly, makes it even more disturbing. Others think whatever is in that house wanted him down there, because whatever was in that cellar with him, it knew exactly when to close the door. In the following clip, a woman was sharing a terrifying experience of how she once heard something growl close to her ear. But what was supposed to be a simple story time recording quickly turned into something much worse. Thankfully, she was still recording when it happened. Have a look.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. I just came down from getting a shower and I'm cleaning my kitchen. I'm getting ready to go to bed, and I swear it sounded like something growled in my ear. I know that sounds insane, and it's not like normal, but I've never experienced that before. It was insane. My basement door's open. This was not opened when I came down. Oh, crap. Hello?
Now, a growling noise isn't taken lightly. Many believe it's a sign of a hostile spirit, or even a demonic presence marking its territory, warning the living to stay away. Others speculate it could mean a spirit is trying to build fear before making its presence stronger. But whatever it was, it seemed to be waiting for the right moment to make itself known, so when she was most vulnerable, it struck again. A few days later, while she was home alone, she caught this on camera.
So I was upstairs and I heard this loud screeching noise and a loud noise. What the? I heard a loud screeching noise and a loud bang.
This time, it wasn't just the chair that moved. There were also distinct knocking sounds at the end. Now here's where the story takes a terrifying turn. After this recording, she began waking up at exactly 3:15 a.m. every night, the so-called witching hour, with the same sensation that someone was standing at the edge of her bed, watching her. And other times, she claimed to hear the growl again, but this time, it was right outside her bedroom door. Whatever is in her house seems to be growing stronger, bolder, and more dangerous. For more hunting videos, subscribe to the channel now. The following video was recorded by a woman named Carrie Ann, who was out on a horseback ride near Mount Shasta in Northern California with her friend Jordan, when the two of them stumbled onto something neither of them could immediately explain. It was dusk, the kind of low blue evening light that makes everything feel slightly off. And at some point during the ride, they began hearing it. A loud, layered, almost ethereal sound rising up from the ground around them, like a chorus of electronic voices humming all at once. Carrie Ann pulled out her phone and started recording.
Jordan and I went on a ride, and we just came across this noise that we heard. We're going up this hill, and you can hear it in the background. I'm going to show you. It's a little freaking creepy. Hold on. It's creepy. There's a mountain. And look at, there is another 100 of them out there. But it's like this Lemurian beacon system. I have no idea. Somebody put a lot of effort into this. Come on. This is insane. I guess they're solar powered. This one actually makes sense. The other ones are just white noise. All right, well, we're getting out of here. Stat. Jordan left me.
Mount Shasta has carried that legend for over a century, the belief that a hidden underground city called Telos exists beneath the mountain, the last refuge of the ancient Lemurians, a civilization said to have survived the sinking of their continent thousands of years ago. Whether the strange sounds are connected to this history or not, this is the exact folklore this place is famous for. The next day, the two of them went back in full daylight to get a better look. Watch.
Where is that coming from? It's like it's way over there, but it's also right here. Oh my God. Oh. Oh my God. This is straight apocalyptic. Somebody is summoning something here. What is happening? What is happening right now? Okay, no. Pretty sure Jordan and I just stumbled across a live Lemurian conference call. Sorry for interrupting. Mount Shasta for you. I am sitting here freaking out because I thought this bag of trash was talking to me, and everything you were saying was coming over the Bluetooth speaker in my bag. Oh my God. I'm like, the trash bag is talking to me now.
Oh, my phone is still connected.
Your phone is connected. I had to piss my pants going, we gotta go, because the trash is talking to us. Oh boy. In other words, actually, let's go.
Okay.
I'm over it. We just found another one. Way up the mountain. Something about salvation.
Now it's sunny, clear skies, and the hillside reveals something even stranger in the light. Not just a random scatter of devices, but long, serpentine lines of them running up the slope in deliberate formations. Jordan laughs and says, "Mount Shasta for you," like this is somehow a completely reasonable thing to find on a trail. And she's not entirely wrong. The mountain attracts this kind of thing. But there's a second reveal buried in this clip that makes the whole thing even funnier. Carrie Ann realizes mid-video that the disembodied voices she'd been hearing the night before, the ones that had her genuinely convinced she was picking up something supernatural, were coming from her own Bluetooth speaker, playing from inside her saddlebag. She'd been terrifying herself with her own phone. Still, that explanation only covers the voices. It doesn't cover the hundreds of devices, or whoever placed them there, or why. So Carrie Ann went back a third time, this time determined to figure out the source. Listen closely.
All right. Boys and girls, we are going back and we're going to get to the bottom of this. Inquiring minds want to know. Oh, shit.
Who are the representatives of God for our spiritual elevation. We humbly worship, praise, thank, obey, and love God Almighty, the Most High, the greatest, for world vegan, world peace, and our soul liberation. We thank, love, praise the only Son of God, who is the ultimate master.
She finds the original packaging in a cardboard box on the hillside, product boxes printed in Chinese, featuring lotus flower and dragonfly illustrations, and when she holds one of the speakers up, you can hear it broadcasting a Buddhist chant, Namo Amituofo, a traditional chant to Amitabha Buddha, repeating from the solar panel on the device. She eventually tracks the product down to an Etsy listing, Vajrayana Mahayana Prayer Mantra Chanting Box, solar powered, sold by a seller called Lama Noriha for around $51 each. Whoever planted them went to significant expense and effort, spreading what appears to be hundreds of solar-powered prayer chanting boxes across a remote mountain trail in deliberate arrangements, left to broadcast Buddhist mantras and spiritual prayers into the open air around one of the most spiritually charged landscapes in North America. Some people in the comments found it beautiful, a kind of open-air devotional installation, broadcasting prayers for world peace at the foot of a sacred mountain. Others found it deeply unsettling, especially given how genuinely frightening the sound was at dusk. I'll let you decide which side of that you land on, but what nobody's been able to answer is who put them there, when, and whether they're planning to come back and add more. In this next clip, a man films himself indoors, speaking directly into his phone in Spanish, clearly shaken. He explains that the day before, he'd visited one of the lagoons of Chilca, a coastal area outside Lima, Peru, long associated with strange energy and unexplained occurrences, and that something happened there he couldn't explain. He's practically begging his viewers to help him figure out what he encountered. Then the footage cuts. Watch. The camera shifts to a nighttime outdoor scene, pointing down at a turquoise-painted wall covered in dark, smeared markings that resemble three-toed footprints or handprints. Then, at the very end, a large, dark hand with long, sharp claws suddenly grabs the corner of that wall from off-screen, textured, scaly, and unmistakably not human. Some viewers immediately called it a staged prop, pointing to the sound effect that drops right on cue. Others aren't so sure, because if you look at those markings on the wall before the hand appears, they were already there. So what exactly left them? Now in this next clip, someone is lying in bed in what looks like a motel room, filming from under the covers in a dimly lit space. And they've been awake for 3 days straight. That detail matters, because what they're about to capture puts everything in question. Watch. Standing beside the door appears to be a dark figure draped in what looks like a black cloth. What stands out most is the face, a pale. The figure doesn't appear to move. It simply remains there, watching from the corner of the room. At first, she assumes sleep deprivation is playing tricks on her mind. After 3 days without sleep, visual hallucinations are well documented and can become remarkably vivid, often involving shadowy figures or people standing in doorways. That alone would be a reasonable explanation. But then she reviews the recording. The figure appears to have been captured on camera as well. That detail is what convinced her she wasn't imagining it. Those who favor a paranormal explanation compare it to reports of shadow figures, particularly the subtype often described as cloaked or hooded apparitions. Dark, human-shaped forms with unusually pale or featureless faces that witnesses claim to encounter during the night. Whether the camera captured an ordinary object distorted by darkness, or whether her exhaustion simply caused her to notice something that had been there all along. The fact that the same figure appeared both to her eyes and through the camera lens is what continues to fuel the debate. Now, in this next clip, two men are filming outdoors at night along a dark dirt road somewhere in a Spanish-speaking country. The scene lit only by a single off-camera light casting a sickly greenish-yellow glow over the tree line. For a few seconds, everything is still, just shadows and shaky camera work, and a nervous exchange of words between them. Then something steps out of the foliage. Watch.
Ya fue, guacho, vamos a acá.
Guacho, mira, se está viniendo para acá. Está cruzando la calle, guacho.
Se fue.
A small bipedal figure with a disproportionately large head hobbles across the dirt path from left to right, and the men immediately lose their composure. One shouting that it's crossing the street, heading toward them, before the camera jerks violently and cuts to black. What they're calling it in the audio is a duende, a term rooted in Spanish and Latin American folklore referring to a small goblin-like spirit, sometimes mischievous, sometimes deeply unsettling, said to appear near roads and wooded areas at night. You can hear the panic in their voices shift the moment the figure turns in their direction. Skeptics point to the poor video quality and suggest it could be a child or someone in costume, but that hobbling gait and oversized silhouette are genuinely difficult to explain away. What do you think was crossing that road? This next video was recorded by a man who says the strange activity in his home has been going on for a while. But on this particular night, things took a turn he wasn't quite ready for. It's 4:53 in the morning. He's downstairs alone, his family asleep upstairs, and he's got a Coors Light in his hand when the knocking starts coming from his basement door. Slow at first. One knock, then another, then a third, spaced out and deliberate, like something testing to see if he's listening. He points the camera at the door and pans the room briefly, showing the couch, the coffee table, the staircase with the baby gate at the top, and then comes back to the door. He says it himself. This isn't the first time he's heard it. Watch.
Alright, so that right there is my basement door, right? I'm downstairs by myself. It's like 4:53 in the morning, and I just started hearing that. I have no fucking idea what it is, but I'm down here by myself. Everybody's sleeping, just me. Ain't the first time I heard this shit either.
What makes this so unsettling isn't just the sound, it's the escalation. Those early knocks are almost calm, then they turn into a rapid, frantic drumming, the kind that doesn't sound like a pipe settling or an animal scratching, and then the bangs. 3 of them, each one louder than the last, hitting the door with a force that feels deliberate, almost impatient. He's not performing fear either. His expression is more confused than theatrical, like a man who genuinely doesn't know what to do next. Some people in the comments pointed to territorial behavior, the idea that whatever is making that sound is asserting itself, warning him rather than inviting him. Others suggested a more specific framework, comparing it to what some paranormal researchers call threshold phenomena, where entities are believed to be bound by certain boundaries and use sound to demand entry rather than simply passing through. Skeptics will point out a person hiding on the other side with nothing better to do at 5 a.m., but his tone, flat, tired, almost resigned doesn't read like someone in on the joke. The activity didn't stop there. The following night, or at least another night in the same house, he was sitting in that same room when the knocking started up again, this time from the wall beside the downstairs bathroom. He says he'd been hearing it regularly at that point, tapping on the bathroom door, sounds from the wall, the same pattern repeating itself. He started recording to see if anything else would happen. Watch.
Alright, so I was hearing that knocking again, right? Except this time it's coming from that wall right there, which is my downstairs bathroom. And after a while I started hearing tapping on the bathroom door as well. So what else? Record. See if anything else happens. I mean, I hear the shit every night. It's fuck. Okay, that's never happened before. Now I have to go check it out, otherwise you guys are gonna be like, oh, it's probably somebody in there. Let's go see. I'll show you guys right now. Ain't nobody in this motherfucker right here. And it is empty. Yeah, no, that one was weird. That's never actually happened before. That's new, at least.
When he posted the footage online, most people focused on what they claimed to hear at the very end, a faint hissing sound that many missed the first time until they replayed it with headphones. Clay didn't think much of it at first, until viewers started asking about where he lives. When he told them he's in South Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the reaction changed. People in the comments claimed the area has a history of old houses with dark pasts, and that South Milwaukee in particular has more than its share of hauntings. This place is tied to several local stories, but there's one in particular about a man who disappeared in the 1950s, last seen walking into a house on Clay Street. Now, if whatever is in that house just crossed from making noise to moving things, the question worth asking is, what comes after that? In the following video recorded late one night, in France, a man pulls out his phone to film his kitchen, because this isn't the first time something strange has happened here, and he wants it on record. Speaking calmly in French, he points out a drawer that's already sitting open on its own, notes that his small black dog is hiding under the dining table, and confirms out loud that he's completely alone. Then he does something that takes either courage or desperation. He asks, directly, for whatever is there to show itself. Watch.
Donc voilà, je refais une vidéo parce que il se passe encore des phénomènes, comme vous pouvez le voir. Il y a le tiroir qui s'est ouvert tout seul. Vous pouvez le constater, je suis tout seul. Il y a juste le chien qui est effrayé en dessous de la table. Sinon, je suis absolument tout seul. Donc, est-ce que vous pouvez vous manifester, s'il vous plaît? Ok. Est-ce que vous pouvez vous dire ce que... Oh putain, je calme. Je ne vous veux aucun mal. Oh, vache. Ok, je me casse.
The upper cabinet door swings open on its own the moment he finishes asking, as if something actually heard him. Before he can even process it, two metal shakers are violently hurled from near the refrigerator and clatter hard across the linoleum floor. He manages a stunned, okay, starts to ask a follow-up question, and then a pepper grinder crashes off the dining table, followed immediately by an entire wooden chair being knocked backwards onto the floor. You can hear his voice go from measured to genuinely frightened in under 30 seconds. His dog never moved from under the table. What makes this so hard to dismiss is the sequence, not one random event, but 4 separate disturbances in under a minute, each one more forceful than the last. That kind of escalating pattern is what investigators often associate with poltergeist activity, a word that comes from German meaning noisy ghost, typically described not as a traditional spirit, but as a concentrated burst of energy capable of physically interacting with the environment. Some believe it attaches to people rather than places, which would explain why he mentions this isn't even his first video. Others think the moment he issued that invitation, asking it to manifest, he changed the nature of the interaction entirely. Whether that was brave or reckless, only he can say. The following clips come from the same household, and together they paint a picture of something that's been present here for a very long time. During the day, while natural light poured in through the bedroom windows, 2 young girls set up a camera aimed directly at a set of closed white double doors at the end of the hallway. No one else was in the house, no windows were open, nothing was running nearby that could account for what happened next. The hallway stayed completely quiet for nearly 2 full minutes. Watch.
If you can shut the doors, go sit down. Okay, so you know we're staying. Can you please shut the doors?
Can I show it so you can see that it sees? Oh yeah. They're shutting.
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah, show it so nobody can everybody can see that.
Oh wow, nice job. That's really good.
Actually, I don't think it's slamming.
Guys, he basically
show it like this so you can see that nobody's pushing the door or something.
Okay, can you try opening the doors? If it's too hard, we can help you. Yeah. I'm gonna give you a second to try opening them. Okay, so I'm gonna give it a little push right here. That's good. Now can you please open them?
Or shut them?
That might have been a little hard right there.
They're a little open.
And also I feel like they would stick together. That'd be hard to do it. Can you push it open? I smell really badly. I'm sweating so much. Me too.
Me too. Let's shut it.
Oh, awesome job. I feel like this will be easier to open.
So can you try opening it? This is the most activity I've ever actually seen because my mom was always the one that saw the activity happening.
Can you please try pushing the doors open instead of shutting them? Wow, nice job. That's really impressive. Oh. Okay. Wait.
Good job. Try keeping one open. Oh,
nice job. Okay, guys, let's go downstairs. Okay, we're gonna head downstairs, okay?
The left door slowly, silently swings inward on its own. No creak from the hinges, no scraping against the carpet, just a smooth and deliberate movement that stops on its own about a foot open. What makes this harder to dismiss than a simple draft is the silence. Drafts cause doors to rattle, to creak, to drift unevenly. This door moved with the kind of slow, steady purpose that most people associate with something intentional. Skeptics will argue that a fine string or someone just off-frame could explain it, and that's a fair counterpoint. But the person filming doesn't react. No gasp, no jump, no verbal response, which, combined with the caption suggesting they grew up casually playing with ghosts, implies this isn't even close to the strangest thing they've experienced in this house. That context matters, because the second clip makes it clear this activity didn't start with them. Watch.
Person. Idiot. It's a person. It's Walter. It's a person. It's a guy. Walter is here. Whoever gets Walter. Walter is not gonna God. Walter, let's go. He's locked. Stop.
At night, in a dim hallway with the same dark patterned carpet, a young boy is caught sleepwalking, shirtless, clutching something to his chest, completely disoriented. But what he's saying is the part that stays with you. He's talking to or about someone named Walter, insisting, "It's a person, it's here," his voice breaking into crying before he says, "He never," and then trails off. His brothers, according to the caption, grew up reporting the same thing, a figure they called a top hat man, appearing at night, connected to episodes of sleepwalking just like this. The Hat Man is one of the most consistently reported figures in sleep paralysis and night terror accounts worldwide. A tall, dark, featureless silhouette wearing a wide-brimmed hat, described by people across completely different cultures and languages with eerie similarity. Many researchers believe the figure represents something experienced in the liminal space between sleep and consciousness. But this child isn't describing a shadow. He's describing a person with a name, Walter. Where did that name come from? And what exactly is he seeing in that hallway? The following video was recorded by a home security camera set up inside what looks like a child's playroom. Toys, a little basketball hoop, posters on the wall, the kind of room that's supposed to feel safe. It's bath time, and a man in a blue t-shirt is moving around the room, doing the usual evening routine, completely unbothered. He steps toward the hallway, comes back, bends down behind the door, and that's when something happens in the space he can no longer see. Watch.
It's bath time. Woo! It's nice and brisk in here. Was that Darla? Who just walked in here? No, someone just walked in here. And then the rug was moving. You didn't see it? No, I just saw someone walk in here.
A dark, low shape darts across the hallway floor in under a second, moving so fast it barely registers. Now, what makes this harder to dismiss is that he caught it himself in real time before anyone reviewed the footage. Shadow people are often described as dark, humanoid forms that move with intent and vanish just as quickly as they appear. And some believe they're drawn to spaces with high emotional or domestic energy. So if you ask him what he saw, he already knows the answer. The camera just barely caught up. This next clip comes from a man sitting alone in a muddy trench at 9:43 p.m., surrounded by nothing but darkness and the narrow earthen walls closing in around him. He's speaking in Russian, sounding tired and frustrated, muttering that he still hasn't finished building anything, just a man, a camera light, and the pitch black night above him. Then something out in that darkness answers. Watch.
А я до сих пор ничего не достроил. И тебе привет. Время 21:43. И я нихуя не достроил.
Twice, a long, high-pitched wailing cry cuts through the silence from somewhere beyond the trench. And what's striking is how he responds, not with panic, but with a calm, almost weary, hello to you too, as if whatever's out there has been making itself known for a while. You can hear it again, fainter, overlapping his next sentence. Some viewers think it's an animal, though none they can identify. Others aren't so sure. That drawn-out, mournful cry doesn't match anything common to the region, and that final sharp clicking sound right at the end is harder to explain away. What do you think was calling back to him? Now in this next clip, a man films himself inside what appears to be a basement crawl space, a narrow passage of cinder block walls, exposed wooden joists, and a dirt floor, barely wide enough to move through. He's down there alone, camera in hand, and within the first few seconds, it's already clear something is very wrong. His breathing is labored and strained, his voice drops to a panicked whisper, and at one point he says, clearly terrified, "I should not have come down here." Something at the far end of that passage has his full attention. Watch.
Fuck. Shit. I should not have come down here. Fuck. What the I'm stuck. I'm not trying to get out of here.
At the end of that narrow corridor, barely visible in the deep shadow, a tall, dark shape stands completely still against the back wall. You can hear a low, guttural groan cut through the silence, and what makes it so unsettling is that it sounds tonally distinct from the man's own panicked breathing, like it came from somewhere else in that passage. He then declares he's stuck, unable to move back the way he came, before managing to navigate further along the crawl space to find a way out. That shape at the end of the corridor is easy to miss on first watch. It doesn't move, it doesn't react, it just stands there. Some viewers think the groan is the man himself, overwhelmed by fear and the tight space. Others aren't so sure, pointing out that the sound has a different quality entirely, something lower and more deliberate. If you watch the opening seconds carefully, that figure is present from the very first frame, meaning whatever it was, it had already been waiting there before he ever pointed the camera down that passage. So what exactly was standing at the end of that crawl space? The following video was put together by a man who says his home has been active for a while now, and to prove it, he compiled a few incidents together, including one that he claims has been circulating online already. The footage was recorded at night, inside what appears to be a lived-in home decorated for Christmas, and from the very first seconds, something feels off. Watch. First the bottle, and then the Christmas tree, shifting. Some viewers also think the dog was reacting to something in the room that the camera simply couldn't see. That idea takes on a different weight with the second clip, which was shared around the same time and appears to have been filmed in the same home. The camera drifts through a dim living room at night, before panning across a cluttered kitchen counter, and at first, nothing looks wrong. Watch. If you look closely, the magnet moved, but some viewers also mentioned that they saw a pale, semi-transparent face slowly materialize before it fades as the camera angle shifts. Some believe this is a case of pareidolia, the brain finding a face in random shadows and textures, but others aren't so easily convinced, especially because it's not so clear and easy to see. So tell me, do you see anything? The following video was recorded inside a brightly lit retail store, the kind of ordinary place where the most exciting thing usually captured on security footage is someone dropping a shopping basket or knocking an item off a shelf. The store appears completely normal, with fluorescent lights illuminating every aisle, merchandise neatly arranged, and a security camera mounted high on the wall, quietly recording the sales floor. At the moment this footage was captured, there wasn't a single customer visible, no employees walking through the frame, and no obvious source for what was about to appear. Watch. A dark, semi-transparent mass, vaguely upright, vaguely human in shape, materializes, and then simply dissolves into nothing by the time it reaches the edge of the frame. You can even hear the moment it registers with the people watching the monitor. A man's voice cutting through the ambient noise in what sounds like Bulgarian, roughly translating to, "Whoa, what is that, man?" Pure shock, completely unrehearsed. Some believe shadow figures like this one are drawn to places with heavy foot traffic, absorbing residual energy from the people who pass through daily. Others think the bright fluorescent lighting actually makes this harder to dismiss as a trick of the light. So what exactly was gliding through that store? In this next clip, two men are on a video call late at night. The man on the left in a room lit with red and blue ambient lighting, the man on the right sitting in a normally lit space, both of them deep in casual conversation about heritage and family. Neither one seems to notice anything off, but in the background behind the man on the left, sitting on a shelf illuminated by a red LED strip, there's a doll, a small figure in a dark hooded sweatshirt, propped upright, completely still. Watch.
Y'all have Irish and Indian?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't know. She's saying braids or what?
Oh, she probably meant to put braids or dreads. Tasha's Native American? Well, I'm Hispanic. I'm from here. Is he paused?
Yeah.
While both men are mid-conversation, the doll moves, and the whole thing lasts barely a second. Neither man reacts, because neither man sees it. What makes this harder to explain is the angle. You'd need something hidden directly beneath that shelf to produce that kind of isolated movement. And nothing visible in the frame suggests that's possible. Some viewers immediately pointed to the idea of a haunted or attached object, a concept that appears across dozens of cultural traditions, where a spirit is said to anchor itself to a physical item rather than a place. Others think it's a trick of the recording. You decide. The following video was recorded by a woman who had been going through her daughter's toy camera, a small, purple thing, the kind given to young kids as a first camera, almost forgotten in a drawer, when she came across a photograph that made her stop completely. Her daughter, who was 9 at the time, had a friend over, and the two girls had been taking silly photos with it, selfies, pictures of the dog, the usual. She decided to scroll through to get a laugh. That changed everything. Watch.
Oh my God, what is that? Oh my God, what is that?
The photograph on that tiny screen shows a tall, dark, entirely humanoid figure standing next to a reddish-brown cabinet in her kitchen. It's almost a complete silhouette. No clear features, no defined limbs, just a solid black shape that reaches well above the cabinet. In the days that followed, she sat down and recorded a longer explanation, because the more she thought about it, the less sense it made. Watch closely.
Okay, so a little explanation on that video that I just uploaded of the photo. So my daughter had a friend over yesterday, and they found a little camera, like little, like it's like this big, that was given to her for Christmas a couple years ago. Not by us, by like a family member, and she got it when she was like 5. So it's been in their house for a long time. She doesn't really use it. She plays around with it sometimes. Anyway, so they found it, and they were just taking photos, and so I decided to look at the photos today. So you get to laugh to see like what silly photos 9-year-olds take of themselves, you know. And I'm scrolling through, and there's like cute selfies, like them playing outside, and picture of the dog, and then there's that photo. And I go back and forth between that photo and the other photos. There's no like other photos of the kitchen or anything like that. It's literally just, there's only that one photo from our kitchen. Yeah. So I'm gonna upload that photo tonight onto my computer to take a look at what that photo could possibly be, because it really makes no sense. My daughter's at school right now, so I haven't asked her what it could be. Who knows, it could be them playing around, but it looks tall for them. It's short for me. If you compare it in the doorway, it looks like it could be about 5 foot something, but who knows? I'm terrible. I don't really know. I'm just like, pulling a number out of my ass. So yeah, fun times. Oh, and I wanted to say the date at the bottom. The date in the camera is incorrect. So I don't know why it says like 2019, but it was taken. Those photos were taken yesterday, unless it's 2019, but they were taken yesterday.
The picture.
Yesterday, so I'm scrolling, you know, and I'm like, what is that? What the is that? Like, what is that? That's right here. Excuse how like messy that is, but what is that?
She walks through everything. The girls were 9, so it couldn't have been them. And the figure looks too short to be a normal adult in that specific doorway, somewhere around 5 feet tall by her estimate. There are no other photos of the kitchen taken that day, just that one. And then she does something that really lands hard. She holds the toy camera up in the actual spot where the photo was taken, comparing the image on the screen to the real empty room in front of her, and the red cabinet is right there, exactly where it is in the photo. But whatever was standing beside it is gone. Some viewers think it could be a shadow person, a term used in paranormal communities to describe dark, featureless humanoid shapes that appear without explanation and seem to observe without interacting. Others are more skeptical, pointing to pareidolia or the low resolution of a child's camera creating shapes where none exist. But the detail that's hardest to explain away is that there are no other kitchen photos, no accidental shots, no blurry test frames, just one image, and something standing in it that shouldn't be there. So what was standing in that kitchen while 2 9-year-old girls played nearby? And why is there only one photo to show for it? Now in this next clip, a Ring security camera mounted outside a home captures something that the person who shared it is convinced is paranormal, although whether viewers agree seems to depend entirely on what they think they see moving through the darkness. The footage is recorded in night vision, giving everything that familiar black and white appearance. A white minivan sits parked in the driveway, trash bins are lined up near the edge of the property, and a cinder block wall runs along one side of the frame, separating the home from the area beyond. At first glance, nothing appears unusual. The scene is quiet, still, and completely empty. Then the person who posted the video directs viewers' attention toward the far side of the wall. Watch.
Watch closely. You'll see a figure on the other side of the wall, and it disappears as it walks away.
A figure can be seen walking beyond the wall, moving steadily through the darkness before seemingly disappearing from sight. According to the homeowner, this is where things become difficult to explain, because they claim the property sits very close to a cemetery, a detail that immediately fueled paranormal speculation in the comments. Many viewers believe the figure is simply a person walking along a path or roadway hidden from the camera's view, briefly visible before moving beyond the field of vision. But the connection to the nearby cemetery is what pushed the discussion in a more supernatural direction. For centuries, graveyards have occupied a unique place in folklore, often associated with reports of wandering apparitions, spirits following familiar routes, or what some traditions describe as residual hauntings, moments or movements that appear to replay themselves long after the people involved are gone. In many cultures, it was believed that spirits did not always remain within burial grounds, but occasionally wandered surrounding roads, paths, and neighboring properties, particularly during the night. Of course, being near a cemetery doesn't automatically make every shadow paranormal, but it does add an extra layer of mystery when a figure appears where no one expects it, and then seems to vanish before anyone can determine exactly what they're looking at. Now, in this next clip, a man is alone in a dark room, the only light coming from the screen of his own phone, when something begins making itself known from inside the furniture directly in front of him. He doesn't know what's causing it. Watch.
Están golpeando el mueble.
The knocking is loud, rhythmic, and deliberate, striking the wooden console in a steady pattern. But the most terrifying thing is the eye he saw. There's no way someone could fit into the back of the furniture, so help him make sense of this. In folklore, across different cultures, wooden furniture in particular has been associated with the idea of memory holding, the belief that natural materials like wood can absorb emotional or spiritual residue over time, especially if the object has been present during repeated human experiences, conflict, or trauma. Until more updates are shared, this remains a mystery. Now, in this next clip, a man armed with nothing but a camera light enters what appears to be a service corridor or storage area somewhere deep inside a commercial building at night. A claustrophobic space filled with mannequins, boxes, and metal racks. The kind of place that already feels wrong before anything happens. Before the footage even begins, he leaves a note for viewers, saying he was hurt during this encounter, and that whatever is in this room is not the same entity he's dealt with before. That detail alone changes how you watch everything that follows. He moves down a long, narrow hallway, metallic sounds already banging rhythmically around him, and before he pushes open a dark storage room door, you can hear him whisper, "Please, protect me, God." That's not the kind of thing you say for the camera. Watch.
I was hurt during this encounter. This is not the same entity. It's not her.
Hello? Hello? Who's there? Hello?
Beneath the chaos, faint but unmistakable, you can hear the sound of a woman crying, soft, sorrowful, heartbreaking, and it continues through several of the crashes, as though something in that room is grieving, while another thing is tearing the place apart. A deep, guttural, distorted voice begins to speak, and then the camera is jolted violently, the audio descending into a scuffle of grunts and clattering before the footage cuts off with the lens pointing at the floor. Some viewers believe what he encountered was two separate presences, one sorrowful, the entity he described as her, and one aggressive, something far more volatile that he specifically warned wasn't the same. In demonology, that kind of split is sometimes referred to as an oppressor and a residual, one presence attached to grief, one attached to violence, occupying the same space. Others watching the footage focus on the escalating pattern of events. Skeptics argue the tight, cluttered space could explain shifting objects, but the crying voice and the distorted growl aren't things you typically explain away. Now in this next video, a man is alone in his bedroom at night when a series of loud, heavy bangs begin echoing through the room, and the source of those sounds is something he can't immediately explain. He's just standing by his wardrobe, calm, unhurried, pulling out a shirt and getting dressed like it's any other night, even as the thumping continues around him. That calmness is either reassuring or deeply unsettling, depending on how you look at it. The banging comes in bursts, rapid at first, then slower, more deliberate, the kind of heavy thuds that feel less like a pipe rattling and more like something with weight and intention. Then, just as suddenly as it started, it stops. He finishes dressing, picks up the camera, and walks toward the bed. Watch. He lifts the mattress and the fitted sheet to reveal the floor underneath, wooden slats, dark carpet, and nothing else. No one hiding, no animal, just an empty space, and a small deflated balloon sitting near the wall. That's it. And yet those bangs were loud, rhythmic, and close, the kind of sounds that vibrate through a room rather than filter in from somewhere far away. And if there's one detail that keeps pulling people back to this clip, it's that small, deflated balloon sitting alone in the head of a doll on his bed. So what exactly was making that noise? I'll let you be the judge. The following clips were captured by a man and his family at La Prisa, a public park area in what appears to be a Spanish-speaking region, on two separate visits to the same location, and each time, something was waiting for them. On the first night, the family had come out to the park casually, letting their daughter play on the playground set while the adults talked nearby. The kind of unremarkable evening that shouldn't leave anyone shaken. But at some point, the man filming noticed something near a lone tree by a tall street lamp out across the wide, grassy field. a small, duckish shape he couldn't quite make sense of. Watch.
Oh, eso. No te vas a golpear en la resbaladilla cuando te bajes.
¿Me bajo?
Sí.
Ah.
Mira. Espérate. Dana, ven. Vénganse para acá. Mira, a ver, miren el árbol aquel. No, yo, la neta, te lo juro que yo miraba algo. Como que se asomaba. A ver, vengan.
Ya me dio miedo.
No, es que yo miré algo, neta. No pasa nada. No, mi amor, no pasa nada, ven. No era nada, ven. ¿Qué?
Yo vi algo. ¿Qué es?
No sé, no.
Te prometo que yo vi algo. No creo que sea.
Mira, sí se miró. ¡Hey! ¿Quién está ahí? Yo sí miré, alcancé a ver algo. Mira, ¿te checaste? ¿Viste?
¿Qué es eso?
A ver.
Oh,
mira.
¿Qué es eso? Ay, no.
¡Hey! ¡Brujo! ¡Asómate!
The man kept the camera zoomed in on that tree, trying to convince himself there was a rational explanation. What peeks out from behind that tree trunk is a pale, elongated face, hollow eye sockets, no other discernible features, staring directly toward the camera for several long seconds before the whole family erupts into screams and runs. The man shouts, "Brujo," as they flee, which in Latin American Spanish is used to refer to a witch or warlock, not a ghost, but something thought to be human in origin, a person who has crossed into dark practice and, according to certain regional folk beliefs, can take on unnatural forms or appear in places they shouldn't be. That distinction matters because a brujo isn't just a spirit lingering somewhere. It implies intent and the idea that whatever they saw chose to show itself. Skeptics argue the figure could be a person in a mask crouching behind the tree, which would explain the slow, deliberate emergence. But the face itself, pale, featureless, except for those dark hollows, doesn't quite match the shape of any mask most viewers could identify. And the genuine terror across that family, including the children, is difficult to fake at that scale. That changed everything about how they saw the park. They came back. On their second visit, the man returned with his wife and filmed from an elevated position above the park, telling the camera they'd decided not to go down this time, not after what happened before, but they still wanted to document what was there. The park appeared completely empty, no other people, just the equipment, the streetlights, and the dark. Watch.
Ay, pues se prendió. Pero miren, chequen nomás. Estamos solos, no hay nadie aquí en la presa. Aquí vinimos de nuevo para checar otra vez lo del mentado árbol que habíamos, de susodicho árbol, no, pero pues la neta, esta vez la verdad no quisimos bajar, ni quisimos, miren, aquí estamos yo y mi esposa, y pues la neta esta vez no quisimos bajar, por precaución, porque no sabemos qué es lo que puede haber ahí. Entonces mejor nos quedamos aquí, pero ahí se mira donde está solo. Mira, ahí están los juegos, donde está nada prácticamente. Ay, no mames. Mira. No me jodas. Ay, nomás chequen ustedes, miren. No, vámonos mejor. Vámonos. No, esto no está bien. Vámonos. Aquí definitivamente sí hay algo. Ay, nomás chequen ustedes. Y mira, y nomás ese aparato es el que está. Nomás ese aparato ese que se está moviendo. No, sí está cañón. Vámonos mejor. No, vámonos ya. Bueno, nos vemos. Aquí ya mejor ya. Hay que dejarlos a gusto a los fantasmitas que estén haciendo ejercicio. Bueno, vámonos mejor. No está. Vámonos. Bye.
Multiple pieces of outdoor exercise equipment are moving on their own, back and forth, in the rhythm of people mid-workout. Ellipticals, a leg press, and then one machine in particular, a standing waist twister, begins moving with much greater intensity than the others, twisting steadily while everything else slows down, as though something has decided to focus its attention on that one spot. The man's wife quietly says, "Vámonos, let's go," and he agrees almost immediately. Before leaving, he jokes darkly that they should let the little ghosts finish their exercise in peace, which is either a coping mechanism or the only framework he had left for what he was seeing. Some viewers think the equipment was wind-driven, though the machines are designed with resistance mechanisms that require sustained force to operate, which makes natural movement harder to explain. Others believe that whatever they encountered near that tree on the first night hadn't left, that it was still there, unseen, going through the motions of being alive. Like and subscribe if you're enjoying watching this video. 2 visits, 2 sets of footage from the same location, and whatever it is still hasn't shown its face again. At least not yet. What do you think they actually saw? The following clips were recorded by a man driving through Lomas de Lourdes, a residential neighborhood on the outskirts of Saltillo, Coahuila, late at night, and what started as a routine drive home turned into something he clearly wasn't prepared for. He'd already heard a noise from behind his back seat when he pulled over, and that's when he noticed something in the distance that made him stop entirely. Watch.
¿Qué onda, raza? Venía aquí manejando en Lomas de Lourdes y escuché un ruido acá atrás del asiento de atrás y me paré para ver qué onda y estoy viendo no sé, una mujer. Iba a irme por allá, pero pura madre. Miren.
Standing still on an embankment at the far end of the road, partially swallowed by the darkness, is a pale, upright figure, small from this distance, blurry, but unmistakably humanoid in shape. He says in Spanish that he can see a woman standing out there, and that he was planning to drive toward her, but then decided against it. That hesitation is telling. Something about what he was looking at didn't sit right, and for a lot of viewers who've grown up in northern Mexico, the image of a pale woman standing alone on a dark road at night carries a very specific weight. In Mexican folklore, La Llorona, the weeping woman, is said to roam near isolated areas and roads, mourning the children she drowned in a jealous rage. The legend has roots stretching back to pre-Columbian Mesoamerican traditions, and in communities throughout northern Mexico and Coahuila. Specifically, she's not just a ghost story told to children, she's a warning. Whoever encounters her is said to be marked by misfortune. So when this man peered out his windshield and saw that pale shape standing alone in the dark, his decision not to go closer starts to make a lot more sense. But then he changed his mind. In the second clip, he describes driving toward the figure to get a better look, calling it a mona, a bruja, or something worse. Watch.
Bueno, actualizando. Chingue su madre, le voy a dar por ahí a ver qué chingados es. A ver si es una mona o una bruja o algo, o estoy viendo mal. Vamos a ver qué onda, vamos a darle rápido. A la verga, si es una pinche señora. Miren, 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 miren. ¡Oh, la verga!
The car moves up the hill, the figure still visible on top of a low concrete wall as he approaches, and then, as he passes the exact spot, it's gone. He exclaims in Spanish, clearly shaken, confirming that yes, it was a woman standing there, and then frantically panning the camera around trying to find where she went. There's no walkway, no obvious exit point visible in the footage, and the disappearance happens in the moment it takes the car to pass. That detail, the figure being there and then simply not being there, is what pushed a lot of viewers from curious to genuinely unsettled. Some think it was a real person standing on a wall who simply stepped down or moved into shadow at just the right moment. Others aren't convinced any living person would choose to stand motionless on a concrete ledge on a dark road in the middle of the night. He wasn't done though. He circled back. Watch.
Aquí vamos a pasar de nuevo. A ver si sigue ahí la llorona. Míralo, míralo.
Driving past the same concrete wall again, he says out loud that he's coming back to see if La Llorona is still there, and barely seconds later, a pale, blurry shape appears briefly behind the fence line, prompting him to shout at the camera to look. It's fleeting, lasting only a second before the car's motion carries it out of frame. 3 passes, the same stretch of road, the same pale shape, appearing, vanishing, and then appearing once more. Whether it's a person, a trick of the headlights, or something that fits the old Coahuila legend far too well to dismiss, the road in Lomas de Lourdes doesn't seem to have given him a clear answer. What do you think he was looking at? This next clip was recorded during what appears to be a memorial gathering inside a family home, a daytime service, with candles and a cross of white flower petals laid out on the tiled floor, suggesting a recent and very painful loss. The family had released a white star-shaped helium balloon near the memorial, and what happened next is the reason this footage was shared at all. Watch. The balloon drifts away from the memorial on its own, floats purposefully through a doorway into the next room, and descends directly onto the lap of a teenage boy, sitting alone on the edge of a bed, visibly heartbroken, hand pressed to his mouth, trying to hold himself together. It doesn't wander or bump along the ceiling the way a helium balloon normally would. It changes direction, lowers itself, and finds him. Many people who've watched this believe the balloon was being guided, that whoever was being mourned that day was making one final pass through their home, and chose that specific moment to reach the one person in the room who needed it most. Skeptics will point to air currents from the open doorway, and that's a reasonable argument. But if you watch the balloon's descent onto his lap, the shift in direction feels too deliberate, too targeted, to dismiss entirely. What do you think? This next clip was recorded on a baby monitor inside a toddler boy's bedroom on Christmas night of 2023 at around 6:45 in the evening. The room looks peaceful enough, a little teepee tent in the corner, a low floor bed with a wooden frame, the boy sitting quietly on a rug in the foreground, completely unaware of what's apparently happening just behind him. His parents had no idea anything was caught on the monitor until they reviewed the footage. Watch.
Someone please tell me what this scary motion in my son's room is.
A small, dark shape scurries across the floor at an alarming speed, low to the ground, passing directly behind the child from right to left. The parents insist there were no animals in the room. If you look at the zoomed replay, the motion blurs heavily, suggesting whatever this was moved far too fast for the camera's night vision frame rate to fully capture. Some viewers immediately pointed to a large rodent, but others weren't so sure, noting the movement pattern looks less like a small animal and more like something crawling deliberately. What was sharing that room with him? Now, in this next clip, there are no people, no investigators, no one moving through the frame, just a porcelain doll seated alone in a high-backed armchair, filmed at night under a single warm yellow light, while a vintage mantel clock on the side table reads approximately 9:43. Whoever set this camera up and left it running clearly expected something to happen. The doll itself is dressed in a white and dark blue sailor outfit, and the room around it is completely still, the kind of still that feels deliberate, almost staged by something that knows it's being watched. For over a minute, nothing moves. Not the doll, not the clock, not a shadow. Watch. At around 31 seconds in, a loud, sharp crack erupts out of nowhere, high-pitched and percussive, like plastic or wood snapping under sudden pressure, or something releasing tension it had been holding for a long time. Nothing in the frame moves when it happens. The doll doesn't shift, nothing falls, and the ambient hum underneath the recording just continues on as if nothing occurred. That's what makes it so unsettling. If you listen closely, there's no build-up, no creak before it, just silence and then that sound, abrupt and clean. Some believe haunted dolls act as vessels, objects that absorb emotional energy or spirit attachment over time, and that physical sound, cracking, tapping, movement, are how that presence makes itself known. Others think the clip is simply capturing the natural expansion of materials in a quiet room, but a sound that sharp, in a room that's still, with nothing visibly causing it, that's a harder thing to reason your way out of. What do you think was in that room with the doll? The following video was recorded inside a small frozen yogurt shop sometime after closing by a man who'd been dealing with unexplained activity in the building for a while. Flickering lights, strange sounds, the kind of persistent low-level strangeness that you can almost convince yourself to ignore until you can't anymore. On this particular night, he and a woman he works with were still inside after hours trying to retrieve her keys from the back room, and he decided to pull his phone out and film what was happening. He mentions, almost in disbelief, that the lights had already started flickering again, and this wasn't the first time.
Okay guys, we were literally just about to leave my store when shit just started flickering again. This is the second time it's happened. My car's over there, and...
I'm shaking right now.
Okay, and her keys are in the back.
We need to go. We need to go get my keys.
And the light turned on.
I don't want to go.
Okay, well, I'm gonna literally record this whole thing just so you guys can see what happened. I'm literally so scared. Okay, okay, something... The bathroom light's on too.
It's like, bro, why are my keys on the floor? They were not there. Like, I deadass put them on the desk. Like, oh my god.
This is literally insane.
The crash erupts out of nowhere from somewhere deeper in the building. No visible source, no explanation, and what follows is pure chaos. Both of them sprinting toward the back office in a full panic. But then they find her keys lying on the floor. She's insistent that she left them on the desk, and the man confirms he didn't see them there either. That alone is unsettling. Displaced objects are one of the most commonly reported signs of poltergeist-type activity. The kind of presence that doesn't just make noise, but physically interacts with the environment, moving things deliberately, as if to be noticed. Then, it got worse. The second clip picks up shortly after, with the two of them still inside, watching the security monitors in the back office while the cameras around the store continue to flicker. They decide they need to leave. They're already nearly an hour past closing, and as they make their way toward the exit, something comes flying out of the darkness right past the camera. Watch.
Okay guys, we've been sitting in the back for like 20 minutes now, and we're just watching the cameras, and stuff is still flickering and going on, but nothing happened back here, and we need to go home, and this is so freaking terrifying.
We're 50 minutes past our shift because of this shit.
We closed at 10, so we need to like, it's so dark because all the light switches are over here.
Stop it, stop it. Oh, fuck.
Okay, this is what I mean. This room is over. This is...
Oh my god.
This is what we're dealing with.
Oh my god, yo, what the bro, Nick, did you this on purpose? No, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you, Nick.
Stop! You're literally... Are you...
No, wait, no. Nah.
No. We literally looked away for like 2 seconds.
You can see it cut through the frame before clattering off screen, and both of them bolt straight for the door. The nervous laughter outside is the kind that comes when you're too shaken to process what just happened any other way. But the most unsettling detail comes when he turns the camera back through the glass front door. 2 metal chairs that were upright moments earlier are now tipped over on the floor, and neither of them touched them. He says he only looked away for a few seconds. Poltergeist cases like this one tend to follow a pattern where the activity doesn't just repeat, it escalates, becoming more physical and more direct over time, as though whatever is present is testing how much it can do before someone finally leaves. He says he's planning to do an overnight stay to try to make contact. What do you think will happen if he does? This next video was recorded inside a family home using 2 mounted security cameras, one in a bedroom, one in the dining room, and the footage spans 2 separate dates in February of 2026, both captured in the early hours of the morning. In the bedroom clip, recorded just after 2 a.m., an older woman, a younger woman, and a child are all asleep, completely still. Nothing in the room is moving. Listen closely. a quiet, disembodied male-sounding voice is heard whispering a name, Naneng, into a room where everyone is asleep. Then in the dining room footage recorded just after 5 a.m., the same kind of voice speaks again in an empty room, saying the name Len, seconds before a teenage girl walks out of a hallway door on her own. And back in the bedroom, at the exact same timestamp, the voice speaks once more, this time with what sounds like a questioning inflection, calling out while the entire family remains completely unconscious. So if you listen carefully, something is calling their names, and not one of them heard it. Now in this next clip, a man is walking through a large concrete drainage tunnel, the kind covered in graffiti, with a shallow stream running along the floor, when something in the darkness ahead stops him cold. He'd gone in alone, recording on his phone, moving through the echoing pipe with nothing but the ambient glow of his camera lighting the way. The tunnel stretched ahead of him, dark and narrow, and for a moment everything seemed quiet. Then, at around the 15-second mark, a sharp metallic clicking sound echoes out from somewhere deep in the darkness. He stops walking. He calls out, "Watch."
What the hell? Hello?
What answers him back isn't a person. A low, guttural sound, somewhere between a growl and a distorted whisper, rolls back through the tunnel in response to his voice. And then, as his eyes adjust to the darkness, you can make out the shape standing at the far end. Tall, impossibly thin, 2 points of white light where the eyes should be. The enhanced replay at the end makes it even harder to dismiss. The figure's limbs are long and spindly, its skin pale and gaunt, and it stands completely motionless right up until the moment it lunges and lets out a sustained, piercing shriek that sounds nothing like a human being. He runs. A lot of viewers immediately called it a crawler, a modern internet label for pale, thin, humanoid figures, reported in isolated tunnels and underground spaces, usually described by their unnatural proportions and the way they move. Others think the glowing eyes point to something else entirely, something that doesn't fit neatly into any category. Skeptics argue it could be a person with a torch, but that explanation gets harder to hold onto when you hear what came out of that tunnel. So what exactly was standing in the dark, waiting? The following video was recorded inside a 1920s home during the daytime, which, honestly, makes it harder to dismiss than most. The man filming had been upstairs watching TV when he heard a banging sound coming from the living room below. He says there's nobody else in the house. As he makes his way down the stairs and through the hallway, past taxidermy, Venetian masks, old framed pictures, and a crucifix on the wall, he mentions that some of his haunted objects from a previous home are now kept here, though nothing has ever happened with them. He calls out into the empty rooms, no response, just the steady ticking of a grandfather clock and the feeling that something is waiting. Watch.
It's banging in the living room. There's nobody else in the house. I've just been upstairs watching TV. Some of my old haunted objects from the old house are in here, but nothing's ever happened. Hello? Hello? Oh! Whoa! Shit. Oh my god. What? What the hell? Whoa. I'm not staying in there. Oh my god. Oh, it's even colder in here. What is that noise? Hello? Oh my god. Well, it looks like my objects are back at it again, doesn't it? What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? I am getting out of here. What the hell?
Two events hit almost back to back. A taxidermy bird on the fireplace mantel flaps its wings suddenly, then the door slams shut on its own with a heavy metallic crash. Then in the dining room, a chair is violently thrown backward across the floor. He screams. He's done. If you look at how quickly these events escalate, bird, door, chair, all within about a minute, it fits a pattern that paranormal researchers often describe as poltergeist behavior, where physical objects are moved or thrown with what seems like deliberate escalating force. The term poltergeist comes from the German for noisy ghost, and what makes these cases distinct is the physical aggression, not just shadows or sounds, but objects acting against gravity. Skeptics will say the taxidermy bird could be mechanical, that the door and chair could be rigged, but his reaction, the shaky hands, the swearing, the decision to just leave, that's difficult to fake convincingly. He even notes a second chair had shifted by the time he looked back. So what set it all off? Now in this next clip, a man is filming inside his home just 3 days after losing his brother Chris. And what you're about to witness isn't terrifying, so much as it is deeply unsettling in a quiet, personal way. He's moving through a dimly lit room at night, emotional but calm, speaking directly to his brother's presence as if Chris might actually be listening. At one point, he stops the camera on a child's plastic toy kitchen set sitting against the wall, green and white, completely still. He asks softly, "Is that you, Chris? Do it again. Watch."
That's you, Chris. Do it again. I feel your presence, bro. I feel your presence. Do it again. Holy shit balls.
What did I miss?
The burner on the toy stove lights up with a flashing red glow and emits an electronic sizzling sound. Then, after it goes quiet, he says it again. Do it again, and the toy activates a second time, this time playing a completely different sound sequence. Many people who've experienced grief report moments exactly like this one, where an object associated with family or routine seems to respond at just the right moment. Others think the timing is too precise to dismiss. You decide. This next video was recorded inside a cluttered garage, filmed by a man who had been about to lock up for the night when something stopped him. He claims that just before he started recording, he heard a laugh coming from the back of the garage. Not a voice, not a knock, but a laugh. And he describes it as the most unnerving, weird laugh he's ever heard, seeming to come from somewhere near one of the riding mowers. So instead of leaving, he pulled out his phone and started moving through the space, sweeping the light across the concrete floor, the shelves, the equipment, trying to find any explanation for what he'd just heard. He hadn't found anything yet. Watch.
Alright, so I was just closing this up. Like just locking it up to head out. And I closed the bay and I was closing this door. I shut the lights off, getting ready to close this door, and heard, I swear, I heard a laugh. And it was the most unnerving, and it was such a weird laugh. It sounded like it was coming from that back mower, like something was sitting on that back mower. I should have just left. I should have left it alone. I don't even know what that was, where it came from, where it went. But I'm not sticking around to find out, so I'm out of here. Screw this. I'm out of here. I am not sticking around.
A sudden, sharp metallic crash explodes off-screen with enough force to make him physically flinch, and when he swings the light toward the source, there's nothing there. No fallen object, no obvious cause, nothing on the floor that wasn't there before. His voice afterward is shaky, and you can hear him repeating that he should have just left, that he doesn't know where the sound came from or where it went. Some think residual energy in cluttered, closed-off spaces can build tension and release it violently, almost like pressure finding an outlet. And the laugh he heard before he even started filming, that detail is hard to shake. What exactly was waiting for him in that garage? This next clip was recorded by a woman at night, sitting in her car, describing something she'd witnessed inside her home. And what makes it so hard to dismiss is the detail she'd kept coming back to. She explains that on the same day she played Surah al-Baqarah, one of the most protective recitations in Islamic tradition, through the house, she passed by her children's room and noticed one of the toys doing something she couldn't explain. Her daughter's Peppa Pig stuffed toy lying on the bed. Watch.
I put Baqarah on my house. That same day, I am like just passing by my kid's room, and basically I see one of the toys doing this. first sight, I thought, are you really seeing things? Because ain't no way that thing is moving its eyes. There is no way it's moving its eyes. Does that make sense? No, it does not. This is your child's little toy that they always love and sleep with. My daughter loves it. That thing is her life, okay? My daughter and that monkey chump are the same. She loves that little toy. So I'm like, ain't no way. It has to be my eyes. So I'm looking at it. My son comes. He's also looking at it. Both of us are like looking at each other. We're like, oh, I don't know. Let's use the camera. And then we use the camera and we see for our eyes. First time in real life, this toy was moving its eyes. What could it be? What do you guys think it is? Do you think it's jinn?
If you look closely, the toy's plastic eye slowly rotates upward, turning, according to her, to look directly at the camera. She says she thought her eyes were playing tricks on her at first, so she called her son over, and both of them stood there watching it together before deciding to film it. Many in the Muslim community watching this immediately pointed to jinn, supernatural beings described in Islamic tradition as created from smokeless fire, capable of inhabiting objects, invisible to the naked eye, but very much present. Jinn aren't considered innately evil, but certain ones are believed to attach to children's belongings specifically. She ends the clip asking the audience the same question she still can't answer herself. What do you think it is? The following video was recorded somewhere beneath what appears to be an abandoned industrial building. No voices, no footsteps, no sound at all. Just the slow drift of the lens through deep shadow, past a low brick wall, and down a long corridor, toward a faint greenish light in the far distance. Nothing seemed out of place at first. Watch.
Is your name Leroy? Dude, I just heard something from like another room. I heard something back that way. Dude, you hear that talking? Did you hear that? I hear a man's voice. Somebody might have called us here, dude. Ooh, what was that? Ooh, what was that?
There, between two of the support pillars, a tall, slender shape stands completely still, dark, undefined, blending almost entirely into the surrounding blackness. If you look closely, you'll notice it has a distinctly humanoid silhouette, but no discernible features whatsoever. Some viewers think it's a shadow person, a type of entity described across dozens of independent accounts as a tall, featureless, dark presence that appears briefly and then simply vanishes. Others think it's pareidolia, the brain forcing a human shape out of low-light geometry, and the footage is ambiguous enough that neither explanation fully wins. Now, in this next clip, a demolition crew in Adelaide, South Australia, was tearing down the old Royal Adelaide Hospital when one of them started noticing things that didn't quite fit the job. The building had already been stripped back, corridors cluttered with debris bags, walls scarred from demolition work, the kind of place that feels emptied out but somehow not quite vacant. A friend of the filmer was part of the crew and captured this footage on a handheld camera, pointing down one of the dimly lit hallways toward a set of double doors, one of them covered with a semi-transparent plastic sheet. Something behind that plastic catches the eye immediately. Watch.
And there's no cunt behind there, right?
I'm staring there the whole
Yeah, fuck. It's got to be some reason for it, eh?
Yeah, go. Ain't no one walking past.
What are all these?
There's no one walking past that door. That's me, man.
Yeah, let's see.
Hey? there.
It's there again, dude. I'm filming it, eh?
Oh, no.
You alright, mate?
Oh, Kim was right.
Last time I was standing here by myself. Wouldn't you just freak, eh?
Yeah, I did, that's why.
I thought it was like someone joking around.
No, I'm glad it did.
Oh!
Why is it just above that line?
Can you explain that? There's no one behind there. What the f? Doesn't make any sense, man. And look at all this shit like in the air.
Looks like I see an arm going across those.
Behind the sheeting, a dark, amorphous shadow moves from right to left, subtle, but there. Then a second shape appears, slightly more defined, holding position on the left side of the door. When the man in the full orange hazmat suit walks down the corridor to check what's behind the door, he finds nothing. The room on the other side, according to the footage, was an operating room, and it was empty. What makes this harder to dismiss is that the Royal Adelaide Hospital had been associated with paranormal reports for years before demolition even began, with staff and visitors describing strange shadows and unexplained figures throughout the building. Some believe that spirits tied to places of suffering, death, and trauma don't simply leave when the walls come down, and that the demolition itself may have stirred something. Where do you think they go when the building is finally gone? This next video was recorded inside what appears to be a long, dark hallway at nighttime, a corridor lined with wood-paneled walls and repeating archways that recede deeper and deeper into shadow, the kind of space that already feels wrong before anything happens in it. The artificial overhead lighting casts a warm, yellowish glow along the upper walls, but the far end of the hallway stays completely dark, like whatever's down there isn't meant to be seen. No one filmed this. No one was standing at the other end. Watch. Just beyond the first archway, a faint whitish-grey mist drifts smoothly from right to left across the corridor and vanishes into the shadows in under 2 seconds. Some viewers think it's a dust particle or lens artifact, and with footage this blurred, that's genuinely hard to rule out. Others believe it's something else entirely. What do you think was moving through that hallway? In this next video, a father had been growing increasingly concerned about his young daughter's behavior. At first, it seemed harmless enough. Like many children her age, she would spend long periods talking to someone nobody else could see, pausing as if she were listening to responses, laughing at jokes that no one had told, and occasionally looking toward empty corners of the room as though another child were standing there with her. Naturally, her father assumed it was an imaginary friend, until it stopped being a case of a child talking to something invisible. It became a case of something responding. Watch.
Miren hasta el final. Esto es una cosa muy loca lo que pasa acá, cerca de mi barrio, a la vuelta de mi casa. Bueno, mi hija se ve que tiene un amigo invisible, porque ustedes miren. Váyale, decirle que traiga el coche. Decirle que traiga el coche, decirle. Le dice que traiga el coche.
¡Dale el coche!
No.
In the video, the father challenges the situation directly. He asks his daughter to tell her imaginary friend to move the walker, and it did. One of the oldest paranormal beliefs surrounding children is the idea that they may be more sensitive to things adults no longer notice. Across countless cultures, there are stories claiming that young children can see spirits, entities, or presences that become inaccessible as people grow older. Whether that's folklore, superstition, or something else entirely is impossible to prove, but stories like this continue to fuel the belief. Some viewers suggested the child may have unknowingly formed a connection with a spirit. Others went much further, warning that not everything presenting itself as a child's friend has good intentions. What do you think? The following video was captured by a man doing what appears to be a late-night walkthrough of an empty industrial building. Service corridors, loading bays, the kind of place that feels unsettling even when nothing's happening. He moves through a series of narrow hallways, lit by fluorescent overhead lights, past recycling signs and yellow safety markings, before pushing through a plastic strip curtain into a vast, dimly lit loading dock below. Concrete pillars, orange industrial lights, long shadows stretching across the floor. The space is completely deserted, and from the moment the clip begins, there's already something deeply wrong, because a loud, continuous, high-pitched alarm tone is ringing out through the entire area with no clear origin. He pans the camera across the empty dock, taking in the loading bays and the grimy walls, and you can feel the tension building. Watch.
Oh, shit. Who's there?
He still hasn't gotten over that scream, and from the look of things, something knew he was there and reacted. Liminal spaces like loading docks and service corridors have developed their own folklore online in recent years, described as places that exist between destinations, spaces no one is supposed to linger in, and that in some accounts are thought to attract residual energy or presences tied to the labor and isolation those spaces carry. The second clip takes that atmosphere even further. The person filming moves through another service corridor in what appears to be the same building, pulling aside a mold-stained plastic curtain before walking slowly down a narrow passage with concrete walls and warm yellow overhead light. Listen closely. If you look at the top right corner, you'll see a humanoid figure hanging. After he shared the footage, many people immediately connected the figure to the scream captured earlier. Some speculated that whatever produced that sound may have been the same presence now appearing in the corridor. Of course, skeptics argue that the figure could be an illusion created by shadows, pipes, hanging material, or the low image quality of the footage. But for those who believe the scream and the figure are connected, that's a difficult explanation to accept. Now in this next clip, a man is working the night shift alone at a dark industrial factory, his first night on the job, when something stops him cold in one of the long corridors. He's moving through the building with a flashlight, checking doors, narrating to himself the way people do when they're trying not to feel uneasy about being completely alone in a space that large. You can hear it in his voice, that thin attempt at casual conversation with no one in particular. He makes his way down a long, empty hallway, concrete floor, exposed beams above, sparse lights doing almost nothing against the dark, and announces out loud that he's there by himself. Watch.
One more door. Yeah, this one's heavy. I'm here, all by myself.
At the far end of the hallway, a figure with long dark hair briefly peeks around the corner, just for a moment. What makes the sighting so unsettling is the timing. The figure appears immediately after he acknowledges that he's alone, almost as though something heard him and decided to respond. Whether that's coincidence or not, it's the detail that viewers keep coming back to. Many people compared the figure to one of the most common apparitions reported in industrial locations and abandoned buildings, the peeking ghost. Unlike full-bodied apparitions that stand openly in view, these sightings are often described as figures that watch from doorways, corners, stairwells, and hallways, revealing only part of themselves before quickly retreating from sight. Factories can be especially fertile ground for stories like these. Decades of accidents, overnight shifts, injuries, and constant human activity often leave behind local legends among workers. In many places, night shift employees pass down stories about figures seen in corridors, shadows standing near machinery, or unexplained encounters that only seem to happen after everyone else has gone home. Now, in this next clip, a man is spending a quiet night at home with his young son, the kind of ordinary evening where the biggest concern should be which action figure wins the fight. But something on the porch keeps pulling his attention back, and when it happens a second time, with his son sitting right there in the room, he doesn't hesitate for a second. Watch.
Se movió la silla. No mames. Hijo. Vente. Salte. ¿Ahí estás, hijo? Sí. A ver. Voy a echarte un ojito, papi. Quiero jugar contigo. Pero se pelean, papi. Sí. Ay, no. A ver. ¿Quién es el superhéroe y quién es el villano? Cuéntame, porque yo no sé.
Mira, este es el superhéroe. Y este es el villano.
No mames. No mames, ¿viste? Vete para acá. Se movió la silla. No mames. Hijo. Vente. Salte. Vámonos. Salte. Mierda. No mames. ¿Qué pedo? Vente, hijo. Vente, agarra tus cosas. Vámonos de aquí. Vámonos, vete por la casa. Ahorita jugamos acá adentro, ¿sí? Es que se movieron las cosas. Métete, papi. Métete.
A white metal rocking chair on the porch begins moving on its own. No breeze, no one nearby, nothing physically touching it. The man grabs his son and gets him out immediately. Some viewers immediately pointed to a poltergeist-type presence, entities associated with kinetic disturbances, objects moving without contact, often described as being drawn to spaces where children are present. Others weren't ready to go that far, arguing the chair could have been disturbed by uneven flooring or a vibration from inside the house. But if you watch the second movement closely, the chair doesn't drift or wobble. It pushes forward with force, at a moment when the house is otherwise completely still. What's harder to dismiss is the pattern, the same object, the same location, twice in one night, and both times right when the man and his son were nearby. Whether something in that house was reacting to them or simply didn't want them there is a question the father clearly couldn't wait around to answer.